I do not know, and which is a very big worry, if the German government thinks about healing the wounds of the colonized people through this restitution process. The idea of not healing of not being ready to heal the wounds is really a very serious problem that the government needs to reconsider, because after more than a century of people living in pain because of this, and then at the end they learn that what is being restituted has nothing like, let me not call it compensation, because compensation looks frightening. Yes. And that is why if I were to make a call to the German government, I will be pleading for a new collaborative relationship.
Welcome to a new episode of the podcast Decolonial Memories. I'm Thomas Fuß. Today I have the honor and pleasure to talk to Dr. Bulami Edward Fonyuy. Dr. Bulami is a part-time lecturer in the University of Bamenda in Cameroon, and he is the principal of the government bilingual high school Kimbo in Kumbo. Dr. Bulami Edward Fonyuy, thank you very much for being with me on the podcast Decolonial Memories.
It's a pleasure, Thomas, to be with you. I find it an honor, let me say it that way.
Thank you. I'm equally and deeply honored, and thank you for sharing your time. Let's go to the personal aspects. Where did you grow up?
I am from Cameroon, born and bred in Kumbu, which is the capital of Nso, the Nso Fondom in Cameroon. Fondom is equivalent to kingdom. So I am from the Nso kingdom. I was born and bred there, and I equally did my primary, secondary education in Kumbu, and then moved to the University of Yaoundé, where I did my first degree in English Modern Letters, and then moved to the University of Bamenda, where I continued with my postgraduate studies and obtained my master's degree in literatures in English from that university, and then enrolled in the PhD, where I obtained my PhD in 2023 from the from the University of Bamenda, Cameroon. And I specialize in literatures in English. My degree is in literatures in English, and my specialty is African oral literature. And apart from being an expert in that, I am equally a cultural researcher and promoter. And I have been promoting the Nso culture where I originate. I've been promoting the Nso culture and then researching on the Nso culture for some time. I have done publications on the Nso culture, and then I equally got interested in restitution, because if I'm interested in promoting my culture, then I should be interested in restituting my heritage, because part of my culture is in my heritage. That's why I became so much interested in restitution as a cause. And apart from that, I am a writer, a researcher. Yes, I have worked as a case study researcher with the project Open Restitution Africa, the second cohort, and I have carried out studies. Yeah, I did my research on the restitution journey of Ngonso from the Nso kingdom. I have equally published a book on restitution titled Colonial Disruptions on African Cultural Heritage, the case of the Ngonso restitution saga from Nso, and giving an African perspective to restitution. And my PhD thesis is titled Bioethical Foundations of so oral poetry, and it is a study in which I try to make it clear, come up with a symbiotic relationship that binds literature and bioethics in order to come out that. And then from the family, traditionally and culturally, that's my social status in Zoland. I am a title holder called Shea. Yeah, and so I belong to the traditional and cultural institutions of my land, the Nso kingdom, and I am married and a father of 5, 3 girls, 2 boys, and so I'm happy to be here with you.
Thank you, and we'll put the link to your publications in the show notes so that people can find out more about this. And congratulations for your PhD.
Thank you.
Thesis. I read the complete book, and it's a wonderful
wow, it's a
description
pleasure.
and analysis of the cultural roots
Yeah.
of the Nso people and the Nso culture and language.
I'm happy to hear. Thank you.
We should also mention at this point that you come from the northwest.
I come from the
English
northwest
speaking.
region of Cameroon.
Yeah, we cannot go into details here, but people want to find out more, they can easily find this in the internet. But of course, this is a difficult situation as a minority in a mostly French-speaking country.
Yeah.
There are a lot of structural and policy impediments, and discriminatory practices.
Yes, I could still talk about where I come from without going political. Yeah, because Nso is found in Bui Division, and Bui Division is found in the northwest region of Cameroon. And the northwest region of Cameroon is one of the 2 English-speaking regions of the country. And so, as an Anglophone, as an Anglophone, in terms of education, in terms of my birth, we celebrate our cultural heritage. Which equally comes from the colonial history. So, no matter the differences we have in the country as Anglophones and Francophones or the crisis, we still remain Cameroonians. Because when the Germans arrived Cameroon, we never had the name Cameroon. It was when the Germans came
they
and
invented it, right?
Yeah, they invented it from Rio dos Cameros.
Yeah.
So that's how we got the identity as Cameroonians from the Germans. So it's interesting.
Thank you for the explanation. Going back to your childhood, can you remember to what extent and in what context people, your family, your friends, the family talked about the era of German colonialism?
Yeah, I grew up around the palace, the Nso Palace, and in Nso land, the palace is a melting pot of the cultural worldview of the people. The palace is a melting pot of the political organizations of the Nso land, administrative, political, everything around the palace. And so, one of the curiosities that we had when we were children, the first is that I lived around the palace, and then there was a hall, which, as we were growing up, we were told was a German building. Yes, and it served as that building served as a customary court. And it was always very interesting for us to go see how a roof is made with tiles, and then very strong building, and people, and then our parents will tell us stories about the Germans. They have, through songs, they will tell you how the Germans came, how they gave them trouble. Yes, and they will sing those songs. Oh, Germany, Kengele, oh. So each time we got this song, we tried to inquire to know what the Germans did. And then we understood that they saw people were a warrior society, and they had fought wars with other tribes, wars of expansion and wars of supremacy. So they had fought these wars, and they had, they defeated those the tribes. But now the Germans came, and then so people thought they could equally defeat the Germans as they, as they defeated the. So in Scotland, as we were growing, we now knew that if there were people as strong in this world that the Salt people knew, they knew that the Germans were the most difficult people to for them to fight. So they have a proverb which says a saying that captures the fact that the Germans came, that they were very strong people in terms, very powerful people, and at the same time, very hard-working people, because they made the Salt people to be very hard-working and self-reliant. So that is what we learn, which to me has always been a very positive mark. If you see any when a Salt person sees somebody who is of strong build, somebody, when if they see, let's say, a car that looks so strong in terms of, they will always associate it to the Germans, meaning that the Germans own the best things according to the worldview of the Nsor people. They own the strongest things. And if you want to be hardworking, you refer to the Germans, because our parents told us that they were forced to dig roads. The Germans forced them to dig roads, and that was already creating a sense of self-reliance in them. The Germans, even if they treated them so badly, they caused them to have that spirit that defines them as very powerful people as well. So that, and then we got other stories about the Germans from the songs, that the oral literatures, that we have the folk tales from folk tales from so, and there is a conspicuous character in the folk tales called Wanyeto, and Wanyeto is what you call the anti-theta. That is an animal with a long mouth like that. Yes, so so people talk a lot about that Wanyeto, and the stories that surround Wanyeto, they were formulated by the experiences that the Nsor people had with the Germans. If it is about cunning, that they were very cunning. If it is about smartness, that the Germans were very smart. If it is about being resilient, that they were very resilient. And all these, the stories that are represented by the Wanyeto stories are telling you, celebrating, but the values that the Germans left with them, and at the same time condemning the vices or the ills that they discovered in the Germans. And those are the stories are told in folk tales, in a folk tale. So then we had songs, just like I said, where they are songs of lamentations, where they are lamenting the reign, the colonial rule of the Germans. So when you go to my land today, you will still find German buildings. There are still German buildings there that are being used by by public authorities. They are used by the administration. They are back. I mean, there are buildings that yes, there are buildings there that are used for other purposes, and they have stood the test of time. Those buildings have stood the test of time, and it is one of the things that the present generation that I am would always love, that we should seek a collaboration in order that those structures should be maintained, because we can never separate the German history from the Nsoro history. We can, I mean, the Nsoro people can never separate their history from the Germans, meaning that they are, I mean, what remains there is for that relationship to be fortified as a way forward. So that is how I grew up in my land. So, and how I came to know about the Germans. Curiously, when I was around 10 or 11 years, when I completed my primary school, there was a German pilot living in Kombo who had an accident and was living there. He had living under medication for a very long time, and needed people to, I mean, so people were working with him, assisting him in the compound. So when I completed primary school, I was a very intelligent guy in school. And then as young as I was, my father could not have, I mean, did not have the means to send me to secondary school. So my father took me to that German and proposed that he should take me to be working with him, so that I could have some money to be able to help the family too. When we met him, he looked at my young age and told my father that no, that I was still too young to assume such this, that they should send me to school. And if today I were to meet him, I would say, take a hand. You did something wonderful to me, because I would have been lured. If he accepted, I would have been lured into maybe thinking that I was already happy, and then I would fail to continue education. And what is there? Education is what makes us who we are today. Thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Bulami, for giving us this very vivid account of your personal life, and also the meaning of the German colonial period for the Nsoro people, and what I feel is a certain ambivalent thinking. Because on the one hand, you know all the violent things the Germans have done to your people. On the other hand, I hear a certain sense of admiration, let's say, or that you look at the other sides of what the imprint of the traces and the legacies of German colonialism. So in the next section, we will go into this whole issue on the colonial route that was taken from the Nsoro to Germany, to Berlin.
Yep. Thank you.
Dr. Bulami, one of the colonial legacies that you as the Nsoro, but also we from the German side have to deal with now, is the colonial loot taking from your people, from the palace, and from other people in your country during German colonial rule, taken by violent means to Berlin, to Germany. Key here is the goddess, the figure, the mystical figure of the founder of your nation, Gonzo. Could you tell us, please, what's your understanding about the colonial loot in general, but in particular with regard to Ngonzo? What does it mean to your people?
Yeah, I think when I talked at first about the German, the legacy of the Germans, which then so people appreciate, I am talking about the later part of that colonial history. The earlier part of the earliest part of the story was a bitter experience. Yeah, a bitter experience because the first Germans to arrive, so they came in 1902, that led by von Pavel, Kurt von Pavel, and the experience was not a good one because what we got as children was that upon arrival, with the hospitality of the so people and led by their phone, the phone had to send people to welcome von Pavel and his crew at the neighborhood. I mean, at the vicinity of Kimbo, that's at a village called Yer, where they were given very good treats, the welcome, and then so people have always compared it to a wedding. They always describe it as Virginia Yer. Because when you are welcoming a bride, you don't welcome a bride with violence. And so the arrival of Kurt von Pavel was described as by the so people as Virgin, as a wedding. Now, little did they know that it was going to turn into a sour story. Yes, because when back in the palace now, what happened there resulted in that looting, and we have been trying to understand it from our own, I mean, from oral tales, and the people, our elders, our parents, some of them tell us that when the Germans came, they were given very good welcome, I mean, hospitable welcome in the palace. And then they were asked, I mean, they were shown where to stay there the night. And normally, strangers are never accepted in the Seoul palace. But the von Pavel and his people were accepted in the palace. And there, as they stayed, they started committing, they started making the people, the occupants of the palace, uncomfortable. Yes, uncomfortable because they showed a lot of disrespect for the dignitaries, for the phone's wives, for many things. And then that is when the people saw that their intention was not a good one. So from there, the phone also escaped from the palace with his notables. And one of the notables who first disappeared from the palace is Schufeinzenzer, who today is considered as, in the modern sense, as a prime minister of. And so, yeah, where a German officer gave him calabash to go carry water for him. So when he went to carry the water, he dumped the calabash and disappeared. Now, the others who noticed it alerted the phone that these people did not have good intention. That is how the phone now escaped from the palace. So when the phone escaped from the palace, they thought the phone and the people had gone out to prepare war against them, and so they set the palace ablaze and looted all. That is what we got as our, stories, oral tales. So they they looted from the palace and then set the palace ablaze before leaving. So that is a bitter experience, and it is during that looting that Ngonso, the shrine where Ngonso was kept, was now ransacked, and Ngonso was taken away. Ngonso being the goddess, the founder of the land and the spiritual source of the Nso people. So the looting of Ngonso has always been a very bitter experience with the Nso people because it caused a disruption in their spirituality. Yes, the people were cut off from their source of spirituality. Because whenever they perform any sacrifices with Ngonso, they are asking for what? They are asking for good health to the citizens. They are asking for fertility. They are asking for that's fertility, reproduction in terms of good harvest. That's what I mean. Good harvest. They're asking for so many things that will make the people survive life. Now, when you cut them, them from their that spiritual source, then you have exposed them now to so many challenges. And so there is from the time Gonzo was taken away from the Nsor palace, there had been continuous appeasement, and then other sacrifices being done in order to sustain the land. So the people have never had a good image, a good impression about the Germans from that perspective. That's why they went out, even the citizens went out looking for where the Gonzo was taken to. And in the search, you get even songs that were songs of lamentation composed at that time to tell the world that this is what has happened. Had happened to the Nsor people. Yes.
So you know, and we know that Gonzo is in Berlin now, has been in Berlin since this time. What is the present status of the request, the restitution request by the Nsor people, by the Nsor Fon?
Yeah, I think the restitution process of Gonzo has been a very an ordeal. It has been an ordeal to the Nsor people from the time one of the sons of Nsor discovered where Gonzo was. That was in the Dalen Museum in 1976 or 74. There's always that confusion about the specific.
So we're talking about the Ethnological Museum Berlin, which is part of the Foundation of Prussian Cultural Heritage.
Okay, yes. But I was coming to say, yes, when they searched and found out that it was here, the fund constituted a team that, to send here, emissaries to send. But then identifying who to send, to contact in Germany was a problem. And this stalemate went on for some time until maybe 2011, when the Prussian Cultural Heritage Foundation for the first time acknowledged the presence of Gonzo in their museum. So it was the beginning of hope for the Nsor people. Now, the Nsor people engage the Germans in this conversation from that time, and it wasn't that easy until 2018 or so, when Sylvie, the young Nsor lady activist, decided to join the fight. When she heard the story from her grandfather, she joined the fight and then gave a new twist to the Gonzo search. And that twist was that she took advantage of the social media handles, especially Twitter at the time, which is X now. Yes, she took advantage of it and then blew out the story of Gonzo. And that was when the attention of the holders of Gonzo was caught. And
yeah, so this is Sylvian Jobati, who is now the president, director of the organization Regardless.
Regardless,
right?
yes, she's the president.
So
founder.
she reached out to Germany, and also that's how I got to know about the Gonzo, and she educated me. I learned everything about Gonzo and the Gonzo through Sylvie.
She has been a force. She has been a force to reckon with when it comes to restitution of Gonzo. And so the fund of Gonzo...
Yeah, I was going to address this. So she's working in collaboration and authorized by the fund?
Yeah, the fund of Gonzo commissioned 3 of them, Sylvain Jobati, Smai Gat, and Yaya Joyce, to be his commissioners as far as searching for Gonzo and asking for the restitution of Gonzo was concerned. So this fight has been on, and on the 27th of June 2022, the Prussian Cultural Heritage, the Board of Trustees, I think, had to authorize the president to to acknowledge the restitution of Ngonso. So it was that has I mean it was something. It was what I mean. It made history, but now there is some sort of frustration among the Nso people in the sense that from 2022, when the decision to restitute Ngonso was taken, up to today, we are already in 2026, and nothing is happening. We are not completely blaming the Germans. We are blaming our own national policy makers, and because the process is looking frustrating to the people in the sense that government stepped in, the government of Cameroon stepped in, came out with restitution, with a restitution policy because it had never existed.
And the committee.
And
yes,
the committee, and then created the
committee,
interministerial committee and defined the functions which are too restrictive to the. I mean, they serve more like a roadblock to the restitution efforts. So this is where the frustration of the Nso people is actually coming, because after fighting for more than 30 years to have this back, now at the time it is approved that Ngonso should come back, then another institution comes up from the government and is helping to block everything. But then on the other side, the Nso people are feeling that the Germans are not doing so much in order to push the issue, the restitution, to go faster. And that is where presently we are. When is Ngonso going to come back to Cameroon? Apart from, I mean, while waiting, the Fund of Nso has, I mean, the Fund of Nso already created a Ngonso reception committee, which is working in the different subcommittees, preparing the final return of Ngonso, meaning that we are still hopeful. The Nso people are still hopeful. But one question which looms is Ngonso, after 120-something years out, going to come back like that? Which is the biggest question that the community is asking. Is restitution a fair game without compensation? These are questions that have to be answered by the holders, by the state, by policymakers. Thank you.
I understand that you are also preparing the construction of a museum. Could you say a little bit about that? A new palace in the museum?
Beautiful, beautiful, Thomas. I like that question. I am here as a member of the Nso Arts and Cultural Heritage Association called NACHA. It was created by the Fund of Nso in 2013. And the fund created this in anticipating the return of Ngonso, because the question was asked in 2011 when the Prussian cultural heritage was opening up to Nso. The question if the Nso people had a museum with international standard. That was a question they asked as a condition to give back Ngonso. And the fund responded by telling them, if you are asking me this, then you know that you are supposed, I mean, you know what you mean by international standard. How do I get that international standard without your collaboration? And that is the question that is going on today. And so when the fund created the Nso Arts and Cultural Heritage Association, they had a mission, and they still have that mission to construct a museum in the Nso Palace that reflects Africa, the African conception of a preservation space. They construct that museum such that our heritage that will be coming back after staying out for this long, we will preserve that here and then build a common history with the holders. Those are instructions that the fund gave, because the fund has always been making the statement each time he's talking to the people. When so people have a proverb that when the war is over and we want to make peace, we don't count the dead. We don't count the dead. We simply look at the way forward. And so people are constructing. They're already in the third phase. The first was feasibility studies. Then the second was I can't go on. I mean, actually give it technically. They contacted what they call the Mass Group. Mass Group is a company that specializes in the African architecture. Yes, who now design the museum and then studied the atmospheric condition of the area where it has to be constructed.
Now, would that be in Yaoundé, at the capital, or in Kumbo?
In Kumbo.
In Kumbo.
I'm talking about Kumbo. And where they want to construct that, the museum, curiously, is that position where the German building used to stand. Yes, the German building, which the palace and the community use as their customary court. That is the area identified for the construction. Maybe because the Germans had come and discovered that that particular area was good after doing feasibility studies. So that is where they intend to construct the museum. And so we are the third phase of the project, which is fundraising, and then looking for partners, because you can't raise. A big project that needs a lot of finances to realize, and so it's gradual. While they are looking for funding, they are equally looking for partners. That is what NACHA is out, looking for partners, looking for funders, so that they can realize that museum project to give the people a befitting museum.
Well, thank you very much for this explanation, Dr. Bulami, and I hope that soon we will be able to hear from you that you have been successful in setting up the museum.
That is our prayer.
Yeah,
that is our prayer, and we just hope it will be a wonderful realization.
And that there would be German collaboration and support for this, of course.
I want. Yes. Thank you so much. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you so much.
So in the next section, we'll turn to the views and the conversations in Cameroon in general about the German colonial era and restitution. Now turning to Cameroon as a whole, Cameroon society, what are the views and perspectives, attitudes and conversations you have in Cameroon on the period of German colonial era and what it means today for you as a country?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think the 2025, I had the opportunity to there was a conversation organized at the National Museum, sponsored by the Goethe Institute and the Douala Art with Marilyn.
Yes, by Princess Marilyn.
Yeah, Princess. Yes. And I mean, interestingly, There was, I mean, we were supposed to, there was a symposium organized. The title of the conversation was Start Cameroon.
Staat, the German name,
Yeah,
the Staat,
Start
yeah, the
Cameroon.
state of Cameroon.
Yes, and so there was a symposium, I mean, presentations during the symposium, and I was chosen as one of the reviewers of the abstracts that were sent. And so through the review, I got a lot about that impression that Cameroonians have about the Germans. Yeah, where each, I mean, the papers came in from all over Cameroon, each presenting an angle of the German colonial rule, each presenting their own angle. And when I read through the abstracts, I got a very big picture about the Germans. This, I mean, others would talk about the construction of the church, Christianity coming to their place because of the Germans. From so, the Germans came to Nso in 1920. That's when we had the
1902, you mean?
No, I mean the missionaries.
The missionary
Yes,
society.
okay.
1912.
1912.
Which society was it?
The Roman Catholics.
The Roman Catholics.
Yes, the Roman Catholics came to Nso in 1912. And that was already like the second phase of colonialism, German colonialism.
Which order? The
Palatines. Yes. Yeah, they are the ones who came to Nso. So that is how the Nso people would tell their own story, giving an impression about the Germans from their own angle and from their own experiences. Then when I read through, I found others even digging into the language. The German language is a legacy that you find in Cameroon. You know, it is taught, it's one of the languages that are taught in secondary schools, especially in the Francophone section. Yes, you learn German, you learn English, you learn French and Spanish. These are languages that Chinese is already part of it. So the language, the German language is a legacy in Cameroon. Yeah, and there are so many public structures that you find.
Like the buildings.
Yes,
yeah.
the buildings.
Yeah.
You find a fort. There is a fort in Bamenda. Yes, there is a fort in Bamenda, and where you find the senior divisional office in Bamenda, is occupying the German buildings. Yeah. Then I saw. I mean, when I read, I equally understood that the Germans had left roads. That one is normal. They dug roads in so many places in Cameroon. A
lot of forced labor from the Cameroonians.
What about the plantations?
Yeah.
German plantations are everywhere in Cameroon. And on leaving, they did not take the plantations. The plantations are there. And people are talking restitution for them to equally restitute the land that they seized from them and open plantations. So the plantations that we have, which are a serious economic source, source of the economy. It was we had, but the Germans. They are the ones who did the plantations. We have the Prime Minister's Lodge in Boya, which is still a German building. So there is a lot in terms of legacy left behind by the Germans. The ugly side of the German story, of the German presence in Cameroon, could be told by the different communities as they experience it. Maybe the people of Bali will tell you about what the wars they fought with the Germans. The Bafut people will tell you the wars they fought with the Germans, and so people. And each of these communities are telling the stories from their own experience. So globally, the German history in Cameroon is not so negative because the Germans left a lot of legacies behind, even if their stay was stopped because of war, a war nobody appreciates. Then, but they left a lot in terms of legacies in Cameroon, and so that start Cameroon symposium actually opened minds as to the realization of the Germans. Thank you.
This memory or remembrance of the German colonial period, how do the English-speaking and the French-speaking communities, but also the traditional authorities, can they relate to each other? Does this memory of the German past help in a little way to overcome the division within your society?
Yeah, I think the German colonial past helps in the sense that many people regret the fact that it wasn't the Germans who continued with them after giving their name, the name Cameroon. The Cameroon was seized from the Germans and given to the British and to the French, and this now divided Cameroon into two, where the English-speaking Cameroonians grew up in the Anglo-Saxon culture, and then the French-speaking Cameroonians grew up in the Francophone culture. And it is that division, that linguistic line that was drawn, that is today causing a lot of confusion in Cameroon. So many regret the fact that the Germans had left. If the Germans were there, we would not have the Anglophone Cameroon and Francophone Cameroon. Cameroon would have still been one. So there is a lot of, there is some regret somewhere that the Germans didn't continue. And maybe those who experience let me use the word brutality or the violence of the Germans might have been celebrating that the Germans left. We are the present generation, and we are trying to get to read what we get from others. Thank you.
In the present, are there examples where English-speaking communities would get together with French-speaking communities to have an exchange, to have a conversation on what the German past means to them and how to address colonial legacies today?
Yes, the Start Cameroon Symposium was a forum for that, because there were Anglophones present and Francophones, and the conversation covered all of Cameroon. It wasn't a matter of Francophones, or it was a matter of Cameroonians coming together to talk about the German colonial history, and then to equally shape the way. You know, there is the Goethe Institute in Yaoundé. The German Institute is one of the institutes that promotes a lot of development to as far as Cameroon is concerned. Cameroonians are concerned. So there is a lot that the Germans there are some foundations from Germany that are in Cameroon that are helping to do some development in places. So I believe that the colonial history is gradually being pushed to the background, so that a new collaborative spirit should be formed, because that's the way forward. We don't keep on crying over spilled milk, because we can never gather that milk back. Yeah.
What's the role of the Cameroonian government in this whole addressing the colonial legacies and the restitution issue? And how does the government relate to traditional authorities and civil society groups on this particular issue?
On restitution?
Addressing colonial legacy, German colonial area in general.
Yes, I think I've had the opportunity to attend sessions organized to talk about the restitution of Cameroonian possessions out of the country. And under the Interministerial Commission, I've had the opportunity to represent the Fonyuy at that. And the first strategic document that was produced by the government didn't actually take care of the traditional society, the communities. But the second strategic document takes care of that. And the traditional rulers have been incorporated into the Interministerial Commission because the story about Ngonso can better be told by the Fonyuy and his people than somebody who is seated there in Yaoundé. But when you talk about the Mandu Yene, it is the Bamoons.
The throne of the Bamoon.
Yeah, yes. The Bamoon people are the ones who can talk better and who will have sleepless nights, just like the Nso people who will have sleepless nights over that heritage that is somewhere. So when you look at it, there is a big challenge as to why the government should impose a structure from up instead of trying to build the structure from the grassroots, because the communities understand and know the value of what they are looking for. But somebody who is up there does not care whether Ngonso comes back or Ngonso does not come back. Thank you.
Do you have an understanding or some idea what will happen? Let's take the case now that tomorrow a lot of the belongings from Cameroon will be returned to your country through the German government.
Yeah.
And the respective institutions which are holding the belongings at the moment. So that will, in the interstate relation, will first of all sort of be transferred to the National Museum of Cameroon.
Yep.
And what will happen next? Do you have an understanding to what extent the government is ready to pass on these belongings to the respective communities?
Yeah, I think there is still a very big challenge when it comes to that. I was trying to understand what happened in another country, let's say Tanzania, where they had to get into an MOU, as we got it already, where they had to enter, the government had to prepare an MOU with the communities, and so they had to sign the MOUs to ensure that these are the stages that will happen when restitution comes on. But that is still what is lacking in Cameroon, and so it makes the whole thing still. It makes restitution still very questionable as to what will happen with the artifacts when they reach. But then when you read the policy documents, you find out there that
of the government.
Yes, of the government.
Of your government, yes.
Yes, you see that the government has, has stated clearly there that when the artifacts will be returned, they will be displayed at the National Museum for some time before they are moved to their communities, because they want to make it a national event, such that when they come, they could stay in the National Museum maybe for 1 month. If the community is ready, they transfer it to the community. But then there is a fear. How trustworthy is that? Because there is no documents, like a memorandum of understanding that is binding the communities and the government.
Thank you. So in the final section, we'll turn to the relationships between Cameroon and Germany.
Yeah.
Dr. Bulami, could you please assess the position of the German government on this whole issue of addressing colonial legacies and restitution? What do you see happening on the side of our government?
I have been very curious trying to understand, and understanding it from a distance is another thing. Somebody who is in Germany will better understand it than somebody like me back in Cameroon. And I try to understand it through friends who are here, people like you, partners like you. When I enter into conversation with them, I try to assess that. And as a case study researcher, I found out that
case study on the Ngonso you did.
yes, case
for
study
open
researcher with
restitution,
Open Restitution Africa. Yes, studying the Ngonso case, the restitution saga. What I understood was that first is that Germany as a federal country, I mean, they do not have a harmonized policy on that. The policy may be there, but it's being implemented according to what the different states. And this becomes a very big worry to those who are seeking restitution, because this, for instance, Berlin may not be open. Stuttgart may even take the lead to propose restitution, and then I do not know, and which is a very big worry, if the German government thinks about healing the wounds of the colonized people through this restitution process. The idea of not healing of not being ready to heal the wounds is really a very serious problem that the government needs to reconsider, because after more than a century of people living in pain because of this, and then at the end they learn that what is being restituted has nothing like, let me not call it compensation, because compensation looks frightening. Yes, and that is why if I were to make a call to the German government, I will be pleading for new collaborative relationship, which shouldn't only be between the state of Cameroon and the German state. It should be between even the communities that were touched and the museums and other partners in Germany. That would be easy for the communities to feel that they have, that the Germans have healed their wounds. That would be, when it goes directly to the communities will really feel. Maybe like in we will sing other songs praising the German government and acknowledging the fact that our wounds have been healed. So that is the way I see it when it comes to the German government. I'm not a politician, and it is difficult for me to talk like a politician.
What are your experiences with the German civil society groups so far?
It has been very interesting. When I got in touch with you, Thomas, that is when I started seeing a different face of Germany, because I was wondering how Germans could come to our assistance in order for us to get back this. And when you came on board as a civil activist, it has created a lot of impact on the restitution of Ngonso. That is certainly why the Fonyuy appreciate you so much because we didn't expect this. I mean, the civil society has equally been helping now to soften the ground for some of the African communities because through the civil society, we are able to overcome some of the complexities that exist in the German society, which we as Africans might not be able to overcome if we were to do it on our own. So the civil society back here in Germany is collaborative in this restitution process. For those that I know, collaborative in this restitution process, and it is a plus. It is a plus. And I believe that if the civil society in Germany collaborates with the civil society from Cameroon, I'm talking about my country, if they collaborate with this our society, especially, let me talk particularly about my Nsor society, then I believe that we, the Nsor people, will sing a song of victory and a song of praise to the Germans.
Yes, this has been a very nice way to put it.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for this very rich and fascinating conversation. Dr. Bulami, is there something that you would like to mention at the end?
I would, let me not go talking again. I just want to appreciate you, Thomas, for inviting me to your podcast and for making the world understand our thoughts. Yes, and by doing this, you are giving service to my community, making our voice to be heard, and definitely someone somewhere will listen to that, and I'm sure that the cry of my community will be heard through me. And once the collaboration comes, it will be victory for my community, not my victory. And I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bulami. I'm looking forward to an ongoing, very deep and fruitful collaboration, and that soon we can celebrate from your side, from our side, the return of the Nsor and the other cultural belongings which belong to the Nsor. Thank you.
Thank you too.